Oh boy, I've been in New York on the weekend. You know what's funny? Remember the past few videos ago, I was talking about how I never want to go back to New York on the weekend again because I would be forced to go to that space. Well, thankfully, they understood the assignment for this weekend. Because the crazy part is, I did go out with my older brother late at night. Just we went out to eat, hang, chill, and then we just slept for most of the morning. Well, my older brother had to leave early, so it is what it is. But man, that was crazy. Listen, I'm back in New York for now, and we're filming at the former school we used to just be around and just have fun and be able to have long discussions. I want to make a specific video today. I might be all over the place again, but that's the whole point. Sometimes these topics aren't just linear. Sometimes they're very all over the place. So I want y'all to know right now, you need to watch how you insert yourself into certain discussions. You gotta watch how you insert yourself in certain spaces. Because especially nowadays, you have to bank for your buck. You have to do your all in most cases, and it's still not enough for some people. So you gotta allow yourself to take a step back and be discerning. And you also have to allow yourself to just overall read the room. Read who you're hanging around. And it's gonna happen every now and then. You know, you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your worth. Again though, you know your worth. More than I could, more than anybody else could. So I want you to prioritize your self-worth first, and then see and evaluate if these type of people are who you want to be like, want to hang around. You see, like for example with me, it took me so much time for me to be able to figure out who are the people that are going to be around me long term. Who are the people who are going to be around my space, and who are they going to be when I show up for them, and are they going to show up for me, and this, that, and the third. And I'm glad for the most part I have a good family support system. I wish I had a good friend system, but I don't. IRL friends, not really. I don't have IRL friends anymore. Well, I could consider some mutuals that I already met IRL, I could consider them IRL friends. So most of my friends on the internet, they're my actual friends. You know, they don't judge you for who you are. You know, it's bigger than judging. It's ultimately also that they value your existence and value your humanity before they can value, oh, what job do you work at? Oh, what do you do for a living? They're already trying to get you to overthink what you should say, how you should initiate your conversation, how you should carry yourself, because they are already trying so hard to try to get you, try to trap you, not view you as a human being. They want you to be a human doing, for whether it's for them or it's just in the general landscape. So that just goes to show within this overview that I cannot allow a chunk of you to trust most rich people. Most rich people are very corrupt. Most rich people already sold out their morals, their souls to these bigger corporations. Some people be wondering, even still, they're still wondering how do these rich people, how do these billionaires, we even have a trillionaire now, how do they get so much leverage, how do they get so much resources? But here's the thing, they're supposed to have all the resources. They're supposed to have everything. This whole system caters to them. This whole system caters to patriarchy. So with this whole system catering to patriarchy, of course they need all the resources. They need poor people for their system to work. They need people depressed, stressed, confused. Because if they don't have people stressed, depressed, confused, their system won't work. It won't work. And the crazy part is, I have to say billionaire and a trillionaire. How do we have a trillionaire? It's one thing that we already have billionaires. But a trillionaire? Buddy, there is a chunk of people in Uzbekistan. There's a chunk of people in the Middle East. There's a chunk of people in Latin America. There's a chunk of people in Haiti. There's a chunk of people in Africa, in Congo, that don't have proper food, proper shelter. They don't even have clean access to water. Dude, there's even areas in the US that doesn't even have a chunk of clean water because of data centers. And you mean to tell me you have $1 trillion for what? You have $1 billion for what? No reason. I'm not kidding. You have $1 billion for no reason. And what are you going to do with that $1 billion? What are you going to do to it? You're not going to fund it. You're not going to give it to anybody. You're not going to share your wealth. Even if you know you're going to be rich regardless, you still refuse to give up your money. A chunk of your money. Your whole worth, most of these people's worth is tied in with the money they make. That's why they're billionaires in the first place. That's why they're trillionaires in the first place. It's because most of these people sold out to not even just the higher ups. It's bigger than that. They sold out to the whole conceptual psyop of money. They think the more money they get and the more wealth they can strip, they don't have to worry about nothing. But even with that, they still are mad and insecure. They didn't wash away their issues that they thought money could get. They still didn't wash away some of their racism. They still didn't wash away some of their pure hatred, their lack of compassion. Bro, they already sold out the compassion. They don't have compassion anymore like that. Do they even have human instinct? Do they have human emotion? I'm talking about most of them, because in most cases, they don't have much emotion. I mean, how could they? How could they at that point? I wouldn't blame them by that standard, because all you could really configure is that, oh, they just have money. You only notice them by how much they're worth. Their whole life revolves around the symbol, the status. This is exactly why you gotta stop liking these people. You gotta stop looking up to these people. Yeah, you gotta sometimes navigate around and figure out how you can make more money. And at the same time, your whole life should not be revolving around making dinero, making chump change. That's why the economy's in shambles, because they are noticing that we need more. And because of the desperation of the survival of the fittest, because we live in such a survival of the fittest ass system, we have to accumulate more money somehow. But the funniest part is that our lives shouldn't be tied around this money. Our lives shouldn't be tied around sacrificing our self-worth for this money. I think you should still pave your way and make a better out of your situation. I'm not telling you to settle for less at all. And in fact, I'm telling you the opposite. I'm telling you to care 3 times more about your self-worth today. Maybe not instant. However, you gotta ultimately reflect too how you're gonna be able to navigate through this future. Oh, and the problem is that some of these people are obsessed with your future somehow, some way, even if they don't live around your presence 24/7. You know, those older relatives, you know, some of those people that within your family circle, they obsess over your future so much. And it's not even a way that they actually genuinely support you. They want to understand where you're coming from. They want to perceive. No, they genuinely only value you if you have like something going within a relationship, with a certain job. And it all ties back to the certain relatives part, because some of these relatives that you may have likely not seen in your life, they will always spawn into the family function, or they will spawn in somehow, some way, and they will ask you, or they will tell you, get a girlfriend or get a boyfriend, or uphold those traditional standards. And they're always going to tell you that, always. Not telling you to not be traditional. I'm not telling you to also break the tradition. I'm telling you to do your thing. I'm also telling you to watch out for those type of people that are putting peer pressure for no reason. They're putting you into a pressure cooker. I'm telling you to be careful. That's all. Oh, do you have a girlfriend, Mr. Shea? Oh, do you have a good paying job, Mr. Shea? Because that's all they see you as. They only see you if you're worth something that revolves around status and money and wealth. Money and wealth is the same thing, Shea. True. So I should just say wealth. The occupation you live, the wealth you accumulate, the way they don't genuinely care about the human being, Shea, or the human being Swizzy, or the human being, let's say for example Adam, or the human being version of Patrice. That's just examples. They don't care about the human version of you. They only care if you could provide something for them, for example. Or they just straight up want you to provide for them. Or they want you to satisfy them enough. Look, I understand. Sometimes you gotta make a good first impression. Sometimes you gotta be out there and just, you gotta have some level-headedness of maturity, level-headedness of just considering your self-worth and being considerate of your own compassion. And then again, you also gotta watch how some of these people integrate themselves to your world. Because some of these people only want to be in your world if they could benefit something off it, if they could take advantage. And that's exactly why most of us had this universal experience, or experiences where a lot of the relatives or a lot of our people that only popped up once a blue moon or once in our lifetime that we are conscious enough, and all they've told us or all they have given us is just, oh hey, do you have a boyfriend? Oh hey, do you have a girlfriend? Oh, how much money you're making? Oh, what you working? Are you going to school, doing this, that, and the third? They only care if you're doing something. They only care if you're engineering and hardwire yourself to this corporate system, this broken capitalist, hyper individualistic system. That's all they care about, and that's what you need to watch. And the big problem, aside from just the bigger picture of, oh, these relatives are asking me if I have a boyfriend and if I work a good enough job, and it's bigger than that. The bigger issue just stems within how each of our generation just grows up thinking a certain way, and it's supposed to just be a one-size-fits-all type of situation. And that bothers me. And it doesn't just bother me because it just not just only hurts the other person, but in a general sense, you don't value us humans. We don't value each other as genuine souls and spirits. We don't make a genuine connection like that. We just take advantage of each other. We just profit off our energies to each other. We don't sit there and genuinely want to know each other. We sit there and we just ask questions so that we can already have a fixated mindset or image of what we want to perceive this person at, and that's all we want. We don't value each other enough. We don't value connection. Some people are desperate for some valuable connections in life, and this is what it comes to within your own family members. Crazy. How come you can't reintroduce yourself and you could explain, oh, I used to change your diapers, you know? Some of them are just straight up telling you, oh, remember me? Remember I used to change your diapers? Remember I used to give you the baby food? I mean, that's a solid way to give yourself a reintroduction of good dog. Just putting yourself back into their shoes. And then again, you also have to be careful with how, I'm talking more for the relatives, or just in the relatives' eyes. Because if I was in a relative in this type of situation where I'm talking about, oh, I used to change your diapers, I would have to consider the human version of you, because it's been a long time coming. Now I have to be like very skeptical, and I have to scan you, and I can't be doing all that. You know, it's weird. That's just all part. It's bigger than this society too. This is, I can ultimately realize as well at times like this, it just goes back to the question. So, some of the people that I grew up with, or some of the people that I've been raised by, so it's not that they don't do a good job. I'm telling you, pass to the parents, pass the whole family tree. So we just spawned into this world. We spawned in with people that we don't have a choice and we don't choose our families. We just spawn in with a family. That's why life is so not fair sometimes, because in hindsight sometimes too, some people get spawned into this world and they have to not like their family because whether their family is abusive, they're absent, they don't want to make the effort to see their children, whether it's mother or father, and you're going to have brothers that could possibly take advantage of you. You could have cousins that are a bunch of criminals. And it's such a weird disfiguration, or the conglomeration of just weird upbringings. Some people have had some of the worst childhoods of my life. Some people had great childhoods. Some people had good enough childhoods that they got by. Some people had such terrible teenage years. Some people had good teenage years. Some people coped with in their teenage years, so they thought that they had a great teenage year until they realized that they gotten taken advantage. Everything just comes back to us. And it comes to beg the question, why are we here, and why are some of these people are just so adamant or making our lives miserable? This whole life is such a confusing paradox puzzle for this particular reason. I don't blame you for hating this life. I don't blame you for hating the lifestyle. I don't blame you either, and I tell you, you should not like most rich people, but there's a specific reason. And that all ties in together. Most of these rich people do not value community. They do not value genuine human connection. They only value the business enterprise. They only value the resources, the actual wealth, taking advantage of other people, especially minorities, especially black people, natives, Middle Easterns. They like taking advantage of those type of people. If you're not white, if you're not coming from a rich family, chances are you ain't getting most enterprises. You're probably not going to get into the basketball program that you've been searching for. Bro, some of these people get handed basketball programs on a silver platter. People that grow up in rich families too, they get the absolute worst of the worst treatment, not in terms of being gifted everything, but within the mindset of things, because they grow up with rich parents and then they were just, by nepotism standards, they're gifted everything. And even if some of the sons don't really profit or take advantage of the wealth, they still have to be careful with how they navigate through. This is such a confusing, paradoxical world for a reason. So you really gotta be careful with how you insert yourself into these parts of life, because some of it's not pretty at all. I know some people grow up with bad childhoods. I know some people have grown up in poverty. I've known some people that have been ostracized for being themselves. I have known some people that don't even know who they are because some situations socially and just how they were raised, they couldn't express themselves enough. Some people had great childhood, some people had great parents. Some people don't know their privileges. Some people also don't know their disadvantages like that. Everything is just a conglomerate block of just confusion. They thrive off confusion, especially the rich people, especially these ups. They want us confused. They want us lost. They want us so dumbfounded to the point where, now we're just going to allow certain people to run our lives. And we're going to allow certain relatives that complain that, we don't have a girlfriend and we're just a fresh 20-year-old. Or a fresh 13-year-old. Like, you don't need a girlfriend right now, man. You don't need to be in a relationship at 18. You don't need to be in a relationship at 25. You don't even have to be married at 25. You don't have to be married at 18. Some people do, whether it's religion and whether it's just they've already found the love of their life for real, for real. Life is just so, it's based on you. Yet, they don't value us. They will never, ever, 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 ever at a certain point value our existence because of our human connection. They only value us just based off the status. Don't like most rich people. Again, you got to be careful with who you allow into your life too, but also observe who comes into your life within certain relatives. Like I use that as an example. And you also got to be really careful, especially when I'm talking from my own experience. You got to also be really careful with how you figure out who you are. Because it's been 8 years since I graduated high school for myself. And I've been through too much, way too much. I've been through way too much. Even if I don't tell my parents everything, even if I don't tell a lot of people everything, I went through way too much. I went through so many identity crises. I went through too much pain in terms of just having to sacrifice and having to seek approval, having to people please. And so it's not that I want to be completely just shoved off certain, no. I think I still have a good enough family system, support system. I just really have to still be really careful with how I put myself in certain positions. Because if I don't put myself in such particular positions, they'll look at me a certain way. They'll look at me funny. So guys, I want y'all to stay safe. I want you to be careful. I'm so glad that I'm even able to have a platform where I can express certain notes, whether I have in my head, whether I wrote them down. I know I'm back in New York for now. I'm going to be back in Jersey pretty soon. Pretty soon. It's 5:30. Oh my goodness. Crazy. So I want us, especially in this space right now, I want us to value each other because we're humans. We have connection. We have the ability to connect further than what we could think. We have the easy, privileged access to, oh hey, I can meet you internet friend through the internet. We don't have to meet up at, let's say, Times Square. Well, I don't have to go overseas to Greece just to see you over. But we can just talk over a platform. We can talk on WhatsApp or Twitter or Discord. It's such a great thing. There's some blessings and curses to everything. Or most things, I mean. I feel bad for the people that still have to readjust accordingly or have to still think certain things because they grew up having to think that, or some of the social situations made them this way. I still feel really bad for those people, and I hope I can help them along the way. Not fully. I don't expect myself to always help people out to the fullest extent. Not because I don't want to, but because it's not realistic. Sometimes in reality, some people don't want to be helped, or some people are just, they have the choice of whether to go further with it or not. So I want all of us to have the awareness, have the discernment, and be able to adjust accordingly to your game plan, or my game plan, or our game plan. Let's be human. Let's have connection. Let's prioritize connection more today than what we've done yesterday. All right? Cheers. Cheers, man.